The desperate signal. The emergency klaxon pierced through the quiet hum of the deep space monitoring station orbiting Earth's moon. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison bolted upright from his chair, coffee spilling across his console as red warning. Lights bathed the entire command center in an ominous glow. "What's the situation?" Morrison barked, his fingers flying across the holographic interface. Ensign Maria Santos, barely 3 months out of the academy, stared at her readings with wide eyes. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the Vega system. It's not human in origin." Morrison felt his blood run cold. First contact protocols hadn't been activated in over 2 decades, not since humanity had learned of their terrifying reputation among the galactic community. Earth was classified as a Class 12 death world, its inhabitants considered too dangerous for normal diplomatic relations. Most alien species gave human space a wide berth. "Patch it through to the main screen," Morrison ordered, his hand instinctively reaching for the emergency communication link to Earth Fleet Command. The transmission crackled to life, filled with static and interference. Through the noise came a voice, melodic yet desperate, speaking in a language that the universal translator struggled to process. "This is Harmony Keeper Zephyr of the Etherian Collective. Our world dies. The Devourers consume everything. We know what humans are called in the galaxy. We know you are the Deathworlders, but please, if there is any mercy in your species, help us." The transmission cut to static, leaving the monitoring station in stunned silence. Morrison immediately activated the emergency channel. "This is Luna Station to Fleet Command. Priority Alpha transmission incoming. First contact situation with hostile third-party involvement." Within minutes, the communication screen flickered to life, revealing the weathered face of Admiral Rebecca Torres, the highest-ranking officer in Earth's defense fleet. Her steel-gray eyes betrayed nothing, but Morrison could see the tension in her jaw. "Report, Commander," she said simply. Morrison transmitted the alien message. The signal originated from the Vega system, approximately 25 light-years from Earth. The species calls themselves Etherians, and they claim to be under attack by something called Devourers. Admiral Torres was silent for a long moment. "Any additional intelligence on either species?" "Negative, Admiral." "But sir," Morrison hesitated. "They specifically mentioned our classification as Deathworlders. They know what we are, and they're still asking for help." The Admiral's expression hardened. "Patch me through to the President and the Defense Council. If someone's desperate enough to call the monsters for help, the situation must be beyond critical." 2 hours later, President Elena Vasquez stood before the emergency session of the Global Defense Council in Geneva. The assembled leaders from every nation on Earth listened intently as she outlined the situation. "Ladies and gentlemen, for the first time since we learned of our galactic reputation, an alien species has directly requested our assistance. The question before us is simple. Do we respond?" Dr. Alexander Petrov, Earth's leading xenobiologist, cleared his throat. "Madam President, our analysis of the transmission suggests the Etherians are a peaceful species. Their vocal patterns indicate high stress and genuine fear. Whatever these Devourers are, they represent an existential threat." General Harrison Clark, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, leaned forward. "The strategic implications are significant. This could be our chance to change how the galaxy views humanity. Instead of being feared as mindless aggressors, we could be seen as protectors. Or it could be a trap," countered Secretary of State Jennifer Walsh. "We know almost nothing about galactic politics. This could be a test or manipulation by hostile forces." President Vasquez stood silent, weighing the arguments. Finally, she spoke. "General Clark, what's our current fleet readiness?" "The 3rd Expeditionary Fleet is completing war games near Jupiter. 4 ships total, including our newest battlecruiser, the UES Titan's Wrath. Captain Sarah Chen commanding." "Sarah Chen," the President mused. "The officer who led the rescue mission to the Proxima colony?" "The same, Madam President. If anyone can handle first contact under hostile conditions, it's her." President Vasquez made her decision. "Authorization granted. Launch immediately. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Titan's Wrath, studying the tactical display that showed her small fleet. At 38, she had already earned a reputation as one of humanity's finest commanders. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her brown eyes held the calm intensity that had carried her through a dozen dangerous missions. Captain, her executive officer, Commander David Park, approached with a tablet. Final crew manifest for the mission, 347 souls across all 4 ships. Chen nodded, reviewing the list. The destroyer UES Vengeance under Abdul, Captain Martinez, the frigate UES Guardian commanded by Captain Thompson, and the support vessel UES Sanctuary with Captain O'Brien. Each ship represented the pinnacle of human military technology, designed by a species that had learned warfare on one of the most hostile planets in the galaxy. Any word from the science teams? Chen asked. Dr. Elena Reyes, the fleet's chief, xenobiologist, joined them. We've analyzed every scrap of data from the transmission. The Etherians appear to be a silicon-based life form, possibly evolved from crystalline structures. Their technology seems focused on harmony and balance rather than warfare. And the Devourers? Dr. Reyes frowned. Unknown. But based on the Etherians' description, they appear to be some kind of parasitic species that consumes other life forms, and their technology. Chen absorbed this information. Time to jump point? 18 hours, Captain, replied Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim, the ship's navigator. All hands, this is the captain. Chen spoke into the ship-wide communication system. In 18 hours, we will be making humanity's first combat jump to assist an alien species under attack. You all know what the galaxy thinks of us. They call us Deathworlders, monsters from a planet that shouldn't have produced intelligent life. She paused, looking around at her bridge crew. They're not wrong. Earth made us strong, made us adaptable, made us survivors. Today we're going to show the galaxy that sometimes you need monsters on your side. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Vega system to a scene of devastation. The Etherian homeworld, a beautiful crystalline planet that seemed to glow with inner light, was surrounded by what could only be described as a living nightmare. The Devourer ships were organic monstrosities, pulsing with dark energy, and covered in what appeared to be feeding tentacles. They moved through space like predators, leaving trails of consumed matter in their wake. Several smaller Etherian vessels floated as empty husks, their crystalline hulls partially dissolved. Mother of God, whispered Lieutenant Torres at the communications station. Captain, I'm reading massive biosignatures from those ships. They're not just vessels, they're living creatures. Chen's jaw tightened. Open a channel to the Etherian planet. The main screen flickered, revealing an alien unlike anything in human imagination. The Etherian appeared to be made of living crystal, with faceted surfaces that caught and reflected light in mesmerizing patterns. When it spoke, its voice was like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Human vessels, I am Harmony Keeper Zephyr. That you came, that you actually answered our call. The alien's form seemed to shimmer with what might have been tears. We had given up hope. We're here to help, Chen replied firmly. What's the tactical situation? The Devourer swarm arrived 3 cycles ago. They consume everything. Our ships, our technology, our people. We tried to flee, but they pursue. We tried to hide, but they find. We are not warriors, Captain. We know only peace and creation. Chen studied the tactical display. 17 Devourer ships of various sizes surrounded the planet, with more arriving, through what appeared to be some kind of organic jump portals. Harmony Keeper, can your people evacuate to sheltered areas on the planet? Already done, Captain. Our population hides in the deep crystal caves, but the Devourers will breach them, eventually. Their hunger knows no limits. Commander Park leaned close to Chen. Captain, we're outnumbered more than 4 to 1. Those things are massive. Chen's smile was cold. David, you're thinking like a civilized species. The Devourers are about to learn why Earth is considered a death world. She opened the fleet channel. All ships, this is Titan's Wrath. Execute formation Delta 7. We're going hunting. Dr. Reyes monitored the biological readings from her science station. Captain, the Devourers appear to be a hive mind species. If we can identify and eliminate the central intelligence, the others may become disoriented. There, Lieutenant Kim pointed to the largest of the organic ships. That one's receiving signals from all the others. It has to be the Queen or central node. Chen nodded. Target acquired. All ships prepare for combat. Remember, we're not just fighting for the Etherians. We're showing the galaxy that humanity protects those who cannot protect themselves. The Devourer swarm detected the human fleet's approach and began to converge, their organic weapons charging with bioelectric energy. The largest creatures opened massive maws, lined with what appeared to be metal-dissolving enzymes. They're trying to surround us, reported the tactical officer. Let them, Chen replied calmly. Humans learn to fight surrounded. It's our natural state. She opened the channel to the Etherian planet. Harmony Keeper Zephyr, you might want a shield. Your people's eyes. You're about to see why the galaxy fears Deathworlders. The first Devourer fired a stream of corrosive bioplasma toward the UES Vengeance. Captain Martinez's destroyer spun aside with an agility that seemed impossible for its size, while simultaneously launching a spread of kinetic torpedoes that tore through the creature's flesh like paper. The Devourer shrieked, a sound that resonated through space itself, as green ichor sprayed from its wounds. The other creatures responded with rage, converging on the human fleet from all directions. But the humans had spent millennia learning to fight against overwhelming odds. The four ships moved like dancers, each covering the others while their weapons carved through the living nightmare that was the Devourer swarm. On the planet below, Harmony Keeper Zephyr and his people watched in amazement as the small human fleet tore through their tormentors with terrifying efficiency. The Deathworlders had come to their rescue, and the galaxy would never be the same. When hell arrives, the space around the Etherian homeworld erupted into chaos as the human fleet engaged the Devourer swarm. Captain Sarah Chen watched from the bridge of the Titan's Wrath as her tactical display showed 17 hostile bioships converging on her small force. Captain Martinez, execute pattern Alpha 7, Chen commanded over the fleet channel. Thompson, Guardian to Overwatch position. O'Brien, keep Sanctuary back and prepare medical bays. The UES Vengeance rolled beneath a stream of acid that would have dissolved its hull in seconds, while simultaneously launching a barrage of railgun rounds that punched through the Devourer's carapace. The creature's death scream resonated through subspace, causing the bridge lights to flicker. Direct hit on Target 7, reported Lieutenant Torres. Bio readings dropping to 0. Commander Park studied the tactical display with growing concern. Captain, they're adapting faster than expected. The second wave is showing increased armor density where the first was vulnerable. Chen's eyes never left the main screen as another Devourer lunged toward them, its massive feeding tentacles reaching out like grasping fingers. That's the problem with fighting civilized species, David. They think adaptation means defense. She keyed the weapons console. Fire concentrated burst, target the joints. The Titan's Wrath unleashed a coordinated strike from all weapon systems simultaneously. Plasma cannons, railguns, and missile tubes fired in perfect sequence, but instead of targeting the creature's armored sections, the weapon struck at the joints between segments, exploiting the biological necessity for flexibility and movement. The Devourer writhed in agony as its own massive size worked against its joints, tearing under the stress of its violent movements. It drifted away, wounded and leaking biofluid. Brilliant, whispered Dr. Reyes from her science station. Captain, you're using their biology against them. Humans have been fighting monsters longer than we've been civilized, Chen replied. We know how predators think. On the planet below, Harmony Keeper Zephyr and his council watched the battle through their crystalline observation networks. The human ships moved with a precision that seemed impossible, each vessel covering the others while striking at their enemies with surgical accuracy. How are they so few yet so effective? Asked Harmony Keeper Melody, her crystal form pulsing with confused light patterns. Zephyr's faceted eyes reflected the distant battle. They are apex predators, sister. We evolved from crystal formations that grew in perfect harmony. They evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day for millions of years. Another Devourer ship bore down on the UES Guardian, its bioplasma cannons charging for a killing shot. Captain Thompson's frigate seemed trapped, caught between two larger creatures that moved to flank it. Thompson's in trouble, Park observed tensely. Chen smiled coldly. No, she's not. She's exactly where she wants to be. At the last possible second, the Guardian executed a maneuver that defied physics, a spinning dive that used the gravitational pull of both Devourers against them. As the two massive creatures collided in the space where the human ship had been, Thompson's gunners opened fire on both targets simultaneously. The explosion that followed briefly outshone the system's star. 3 down, Chen announced. 14 to go. But the Devourer swarm was learning. The remaining creatures began coordinating their attacks, using their superior numbers to attempt to overwhelm the human ships through sheer mass. Captain, Doctor, Reyes called out urgently. I'm detecting massive biosignatures incoming. Long-range sensors show at least 30 more Devourers approaching through organic jump portals. The tactical situation was about to become impossible, even for humans. Chen opened a channel to the Etherian planet. Harmony Keeper Zephyr, we need to talk strategy. These creatures, where do they come from? The crystalline alien's form flickered with urgent light patterns. They come from the void between stars, Captain. They have consumed 17 civilizations that we know of. Each victory makes them stronger, more numerous. And they're completely hostile? No possibility of communication or negotiation? They view all other life as food, nothing more. To them, we are merely resources to be harvested. Chen absorbed this information. The approaching reinforcements would arrive within minutes, turning an already desperate battle into a massacre. Unless, Dr. Reyes, those bioships, they're living creatures, correct? Do they need to eat? The xenobiologist's eyes widened with understanding. Captain, are you thinking what I think you're thinking? Every predator has weaknesses. Every living thing needs fuel. Chen opened the fleet channel. All ships, implement scorched earth protocol. If these things want to eat, let's give them indigestion. The human ships suddenly changed tactics. Instead of engaging the Devourers directly, they began targeting the debris field left by destroyed bioships, using plasma weapons to superheat the organic matter. Captain Chen, Zephyr's voice carried confusion. What are you doing? The dead ones cannot harm us. Just watch, Chen replied grimly. The arriving Devourer reinforcements detected the feast of organic matter floating in space and immediately began feeding. Their massive forms descending on the debris like vultures, but the superheated organic compounds had been chemically altered by the plasma bombardment. Within minutes, the feeding Devourers began convulsing. Their bioluminescent patterns shifted from hunting colors to distress signals as the poisoned feast worked through their systems. It's working, Dr. Reyes reported excitedly. The thermal shock has created toxic compounds in their own dead. They're poisoning themselves. But Chen wasn't finished. All ships concentrate fire on the Queen ship. We end this now. The massive central Devourer, larger than all 4 human ships combined, turned its attention toward the Titan's wrath. Its bioplasma weapons charged with enough energy to vaporize a small moon. Captain, Park said quietly, even if we destroy it, those are still some long odds. Chen's hands moved over her command console with practiced precision. David, what's the first thing they teach you about fighting on Earth? Never fight fair. Never fight alone. She opened a channel to the planet. Harmony Keeper Zephyr, your people might be peaceful, but you must have some kind of planetary defenses. Only energy shields, Captain. We are not warriors. You don't need to be warriors. You just need to trust us. Chen studied the tactical display, calculating vectors and timing. Can your shields be inverted? Inverted? Perhaps. But Captain, that would create a massive energy discharge. It could destroy everything within, including the Queen ship, if we can get it close enough to the planet, Chen finished. Harmony Keeper, sometimes the only way to save what you love is to risk everything. There was a long pause. Then Zephyr's crystalline form pulsed with resolved light. "Tell us what you need, Deathworlder." The next few minutes tested every skill the human crews had learned in their years of service. The 4 ships worked in perfect coordination, harassing and herding the massive Queen ship toward the planet's surface. The creature fought back with desperate fury, its bioweapons carving chunks from the human vessels. The UES Guardian lost its port side, emergency bulkheads sealing as atmosphere vented into space. The Vengeance's bridge took a direct hit, Captain Martinez transferring command to auxiliary control. But still they pressed on, driving the Queen ship deeper into the planet's gravity well. Energy buildup detected from the planet's surface, Dr. Reyes reported. The Etherians are charging their shields for inversion. The Queen ship seemed to sense the trap at the last moment, trying to pull away from the planet. But Chen had anticipated this. All ships, ramming speed. Target the creature's propulsion organs. "Captain," Park protested, "at this range we'll be caught in the discharge." "Then we better make sure our shields hold." Chen's voice was steady as steel. "For Earth, for the Etherians, for everyone who can't fight back." The 4 human ships accelerated directly at the massive devourer, their weapons firing continuously. The creature's bio-armor began to fail under the concentrated assault, green ichor spraying across their hulls. On the planet below, Zephyr made the final adjustments to the shield generators. "For our children," he whispered, and activated the inversion. The energy discharge was visible from orbit, a pillar of light that reached out from the planet's surface to engulf the Queen ship. The massive devourer's death scream shattered crystal, formations on 3 continents before it was silenced forever. In the aftermath, the surviving devourers fled through their organic portals, their hive mind shattered by the loss of their queen. The human fleet limped into orbit, damaged but victorious. "Casualty report," Chen requested, slumping back in her command chair. 43 injured across the fleet, Commander Park reported. "But no fatalities. Dr. O'Brien's medical teams are handling everything." Chen opened a channel to the planet. "Harmony Keeper Zephyr, are your people safe?" The crystalline alien's form pulsed with colors that needed no translation, pure gratitude. "Safe, Captain Chen. Safe because of the Deathworlders who answered our call." 3 days later, the human fleet prepared to depart. The Etherians had offered to share their crystal-growing technology, while Earth had provided defensive strategies and weapon designs adapted for peaceful species. "Captain," Dr. Reyes approached with a data pad, "we're receiving communications from across this sector of the galaxy. Word has spread about what happened here." Chen reviewed the messages, some fearful, some grateful, all acknowledging that humanity had changed the balance of power in this region of space. "What do you think this means for Earth?" Commander Park asked. Chen looked out at the stars, thinking of the long journey home. "It means we're not monsters anymore, David. We're guardians, and that's going to change everything." As the human fleet jumped toward home, their departure was monitored by dozens of alien species throughout the sector. The Deathworlders had shown mercy, had fought not for conquest but for protection. The galaxy would never see humanity the same way again. On distant worlds, peaceful species looked up at the stars with new hope. Somewhere out there, on a terrible world that had forged its children in fire and pain, lived protectors who would answer the call. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human guardianship had begun.